Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Trent Steele, retired Secret Service agent and now Director of Safety and Security of a very large church and school, K through 12 schools. Trying to take what I learned in the Secret Service, translate it into the private sector because I think it can be done. And I think we can begin to secure the people we love the same way we secure the presidents that we elect. And so that's what I'm doing. Did a video yesterday on what I think are kind of the four things I would do if I got hired. There's a million other things we could talk about and we will talk about, but the four things were be proactive, push the perimeter out, train, 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 and communication is king. And so today I'd like to break that down and talk about number one, which is be proactive. When it all comes down to it, the reality is that proaction beats reaction 100% of the time. And the reason that I think proactive is so important, in the words of our friend Sun Tzu, is that the greatest victory is that which requires no battle. In other words, one of the very first case studies that was ever done into mass attacks was done by the Secret Service. It was an exceptional case study. They looked into 82 attacks or near attacks of prominent public figures. So think president, a judge, that kind of a thing, a prominent public official. And they looked into it because they're looking for, hey, what's the one thing we can go out there and look for? And what they found ultimately was that there isn't one thing we can go out there and look for. It isn't all this type of person or that type of person. But what they did find is that every one of them, and I'm going to read directly, uh, the attack is a product of an understandable and discernible patterns of thinking and behavior. That there was no common denominator, but they were pre attack behaviors. So, pre attack behaviors means left of bang, right? There are things that this person is doing prior to the day they attack you where we can have real victory. We can get out ahead of this problem and we can find that guy on his path before he gets to the day of his attack, and we'll have real victory. The problem, of course, with that real victory is that no one knows you had real victory for the most part. But you stopped an attack if you can get out ahead of it. And my friends in the Marines will recognize this term as left of bang, right? If bang is the attack day, everything left of that is where we can have real victory. We can notice the things that are going on. And so, really, this be proactive mindset is just that, it's a mindset. Every single decision you make as a professional protector or security person should come down to what is the proactive thing for me to do here, not the reactive thing for me to do here. I do not just take note of the fact that this particular person is a problem. I not only take note, I go out and I take this battle to them. I go find out where they live. Do they have guns? Have they begun to put together a plan to attack me and our people where we are? We are proactive about that situation. I can tell you what it doesn't look like, and there's a really great example of this. Ariana Grande had a concert in London. I can't remember what year that was, but at this concert, an Islamic extremist showed up while the concert was going on with a backpack laden with explosives. If you've ever looked at this video, and you can go find it out there, um, the backpack he's carrying is so heavy that every step he takes is labored. It is heavy with nuts and bolts that are all going to fly as shrapnel around once he pulls the trigger on that explosion. And so the thing about this one that really set me off, that drove me crazy when I read about the after action report, is that every single security personnel there knew that that guy was a problem. They knew something was wrong, and none of them went and talked to him. None of them went and proactively dealt with him right there. Having said that, I understand that there would be why they wouldn't want to do that, right? But the reality is, as a professional protector, sometimes you put yourself in harm's way to keep others safe. And in reality, had they gone up and dealt with that guy while everybody was inside the concert, then um, maybe he sets it off with them there. Sure, that's a possibility. But the reality is, nobody did anything. They were reactive, and he set it off when everyone was coming out of the concert, and 22 people were killed, over 1,000 people injured, um, because of a reactive mindset. Okay, so that's an example of how we're not going to do the right thing. Um, Also, keep in mind that if the Secret Service case project that I talked about, one of the things they discovered is that if a person is going to attack you, they're often, very often, going to come early, hours early sometimes, and sit in your parking lot, be ready, be there already. Okay, so if you're showing up on a school day or a church day or at your business and a guy is sitting there and you're the first person there and they're out in the parking lot, we need to send security out there and figure out what's going on with that guy. We need to be proactive about him. Hey, sir, everything okay out here? We noticed you were here a little bit early for our event or for whatever. If there's anything we can do to help you, right? We're going to be proactive about that. We're not going to just say, okay, that guy showed up early. Let's see what happens. All right, that's not going to win you battles. That's going to get people killed. So that's more of a reactive mindset. Again, and then one last example, I would tell you, they told us this in training with the Secret Service, and it stuck with me. Um, that very often a guy would show up to attack one of our protectees or somebody, and he would abort his mission and leave. And then a few weeks later, he would come and he would attack, and then they would interview the guy, and they would say, "Hey, what happened that time you were there, and you chose not to attack? Why did you leave before?" And very often he would say, well, that agent made eye contact with me, and I think, I assumed he knew that I was there, so I left. He knew what I was up to, so I left. So then they'll go interview the agent, and they'll say, "Hey, the guy says you made eye contact with him," blah, blah, blah. And the agent will almost invariably say, I've never seen that guy before in my life. I didn't recall. I don't know who that guy is." But the reality is, we are being proactive as security people when we're making eye contact and verbal contact with people on a regular basis. So, as a security person, as a professional, first of all, if you're at a church or whatever, you should be talking to people anyway. But be regularly talking to people, especially the ones that we're not really sure, right? We've got a kind of a funny feeling about them. The hair on the back of our neck is standing up. You should be proactive. Go talk to that person. Let's go ahead and set the stage and figure out whether we have a problem with that person right there and right then, versus monitoring them, and then they get in your worship center or they get inside your school, and now you're having a gunfight in the middle of your living room, so to speak, right? We just don't want that, and that's going to come next. My next video, when we talk about pushing out the perimeter. But the reality is, being proactive as a mindset is 100% how you're going to win victories. So much so that maybe sometimes you thwart and abort actual attacks, and you have no idea you even did it. That's the mindset that you have to have. Anyway, love the conversation. Love to talk about this kind of stuff. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or any feedback, and looking forward to talking to you next time.